Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special. I need to change the title up here. I had the wrong title still in the at the top here. That's not what it is. But we are here for a very special Session 0 for a awesome, relatively new system, Our Brilliant Ruin from Hermitage Studios, and it is so cool, the art in here is some of the most beautiful I've ever seen, and we are going to be going over that system and creating characters for a one-shot. And I am joined by four incredible individuals today, two of whom you've seen on the channel before, Lauren and Mallow, but we are also joined by two new faces who happen to be very important to the Our Brilliant Ruin system, and that is Rachel Wilkinson. And if you want to introduce yourself and what your role in the creation of this game was.
Hey, my name is Rachel J. Wilkinson, and I am the senior writer designer at Studio Hermitage, and I helped write that thing. That's what I did.
I said it backwards.
Yeah.
I said Hermitage Studios, Studio Hermitage. Blame it on a little dyslexia. And we are also joined by Danny. I don't want to mispronounce your last name, so I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, no problem. My name is Danny Reba. I am the senior marketing manager here at Studio Hermitage. So not as fun as Rachel had making the book.
You're totally fun, Danny. Stop. You're totally fun. He's
but
just
I
as
help
fun.
bring it to the masses and figure out how people can find this thing and figure out what we're doing here.
And I am so excited to jump into this. I know I just skirted over your introductions, but I don't want to. We are also once again joined by Lauren.
Hi, you all know me, your favorite little feral ball of energy covered in purple hair dye, and I am so excited to play in the system. I've been poring over this book. I'm obsessed with the art. I'm obsessed with the world that's being created here, and I think you guys are really going to love a different take on TTRPGs that this world has to offer. So let's fucking go!
And Mallow.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
Now, for the rest of this little streamed Session 0, I'm not going to be talking to the audience anymore. This is just to players. So I'm just giving you all here in the stream or listening in the podcast afterwards a little insight into what character creation looks like in Our Brilliant Ruin, what the world and setting looks like, and what Session 0s look like for those of you who may be running your own Session 0 sometime soon. So the first thing, players, that I want to go over before even getting into the world or the setting or anything like that is just the basic safety tools, stream procedure, and all of that. Since we're not just conveniently sitting around a table, but dealing with things like Discord, we have to make certain adjustments for video chat. So if there's at any point that someone during the game or during a session is talking, and you have something you want to jump in and say, all you gotta do is raise your hand if you can't find a good time to insert yourself. If you don't want to interrupt, just raise your hand. I'll give you a little nod. I'll call on you. Make sure to get you next. That way, everyone gets their time in the spotlight. No one gets talked over. Two things we want. We want to avoid people not being able to talk and people getting talked over. It happens in Discord, so a little hand raise if you can't find a moment makes life easy. Second safety tool shouldn't come up in this one shot, but better safe than sorry, is just the X card. So here online, the way we're going to do that, the X card just represents I'm uncomfortable with this topic, with this setting, with language, or whatever is happening. You can either DM me just the letter X, or if you're feeling more comfortable and you want to do it publicly, you can just make an X sign. I'll back off, we'll check in with each other, and we'll move forward in a different path. Make sense? The categories.
I 100% expect to be uncomfortable during this stream.
Same.
I'm okay with that, though. I know what I'm signing up
It
for.
shouldn't be as bad as some... The world has potential for some very uncomfortable things, and I may have to, with my signature love of horror, make things a little bit worse than they were initially written, but it shouldn't be that bad.
Let's just not roll on the castration table again, Ethan.
That was Savage Worlds, and that's
That
in the
was
system.
one time,
It's called
and it was
Savage
mine.
Worlds. So The first thing we're going to do, though, now with just some basic stream etiquette and be good to each other, don't be a dick. If you're uncomfortable, talk to me or make an X. We want everyone to always feel comfy and safe at the table. But with that out of the way, let's get started talking about the world of our brilliant ruin. Now, in order to fully appreciate the part of the world that is known as the Dramark, we first have to talk about the ruin itself. Generations ago, the light from a dead ancient star reached this world. And when it did, it afflicted and changed many things. Metals all over the world began to corrode, including those that hadn't even been mined yet, throwing economies and infrastructure into disarray. And that's just how that was just the major impact on inorganic material. The impact on organic material was more pervasive and insidious, turning creatures and human beings into things of terror. Things that are called, once that has happened, ruined or ruined creatures. Is that correct so far? This is the first time I've explained a world while sitting in front of one of the people who helped make it. So I just want to make sure I'm doing it right.
There's a test. I'm just taking notes here. We're just checking it
That's
off.
fine.
You know,
I do better under test situations. But so that is what the ruin has done to the world. Societies, cities, countries, empires, families destroyed by this. And the part of the world that hasn't yet been consumed and undone by this ruin is collectively known as the Dramark. Because there is no national government, international governmental agencies anymore. There simply is that part of the world that isn't ruined yet. And that is collectively called the Dramark. There is one large city left, several towns and settlements, but most of the world has already been ruined. And the key thing to know is the rest of the world will too. It is inevitable. The world is ending. But this accelerated catastrophe also sped up some of the best parts of humanity. Invention, art. Some of the most incredible symphonies and sonnets and operas have been written ever since the ruin came to this world. It is a time of change and dread and wonder. And it is there that we are going to tell our story. The general setting, if you need some vibes to think of, is imagine that this happened in a world that was somewhere between the 1880s and 1930s of Earth. Not entirely along the same lines in terms of technology. Humanity had definitely made some much bigger technological strides before the ruin than humans had in the 1880s, with things like syllokinetics and these large titanic machines. But for style purposes, and for houses and architecture and clothing, the 1880s to 1930s Europe and America is a good reference and thing to have in your head. Because as a result of the ruin, some people have fled the limited or live outside the bounds of the limited remnants of society, while others have decided that if the world is going to end, they might as well enjoy it and throw lavish parties at crumbling and reclaimed estates where money is both the means and the end. Other people have taken this as an opportunity to dive further into their art, while even more, simply try to keep living. And it is in this setting of the Dramark, with the ruin inevitably everywhere, that we tell these human stories. So, that is the general setting of the Dramark and our brilliant ruin. Danny, Rachel, was there anything else that you feel needs to be added for that general synopsis?
The only thing I was going to add is the way, and maybe we're going to get into this next regarding characters, but there are some major factions that are kind of interplaying here in the remnants of society. I'll kind of let you take it from here, but I think talking about the aristocrats, true folks, and unbonded is the next
wonderful
step.
prompt. So, society in Dramark society can be largely broken down into 3 classes. When I say classes, think social classes, not D&D classes. You have the aristocracy, the true folk, and the unbonded. Of these 3, the largest group is the true folk. So we're going to start with them. Even though the book starts with the aristocrats on top, we're going to start with the true folk because they are the majority. The true folk are the doers. They are the ones who still make this world go round. Without them, the aristocrats who have been enjoying their comfort and soirees in their manors and estates probably wouldn't be able to even heat up last night's soup. They are everything essentially other than the aristocrats and those who live outside the bounds of this society. They are historians, artists, butlers, maids, chefs, philosophers, investigators, hired muscle, engineers, miners, everything that makes this society go round. There are a couple different guilds that are provided in the Our Brilliant Ruin sourcebook. Guilds are one of the remnants of structure. Guilds are part of what gives Dramark society the little bit of order that is still there. With the true folk, there are the guilds. With the aristocrats, there are the families or the houses. These help to provide some level of stability in the social interactions in the Dramark. So the ones that are provided are, in terms of guilds, are the Crown Hall College, which is the epicenter of learning, higher learning in Dramark society. Quite a facility. So again, that is everything from scientists, historians, philosophers, mathematicians, anthropologists, linguists, all of those study here, including those who are studying the ruin itself. A second guild that is provided, which if I were making a character, I would totally have a character in, is the League of Glove and Key. These are the individuals who make service their specialty, and through service have the opportunity to observe. The chambermaids, chefs, chauffeurs, butlers, those who their job is service, and almost always are working in service of either one of the guilds or one of the aristocratic families. Not always. There are other places that members of the League might still work, but that is frequently where they can be found. The third, the fun people, the third guild that is provided for the true folk, the Peacock's Feast, that's where all the artists are. Those are the poets and singers and painters and musicians, because even in this world where the end of the world is an inevitability, people still want to party, still want to be able to express their love and sorrow and dread and happiness. still want to be able to escape for a little while, and that is where the members of the Peacock's Feast thrive. The fourth of the 5 guilds, the Piedmont Accord. Love these guys. Every single one of them looks like they belong in a 1940s style investigator film. These are the hired muscle or the hired hands for a lot of things. You need a message taken to your lover secretly at night. You need some spontaneous, no questions asked bodyguarding or leg breaking. You need someone to investigate exactly what has been happening at a nearby estate. These are individuals that you might call upon. And the 5th is the Rivet and Bellows Union. This is mechanics, the machinists, miners, all of the nitty-gritty laboring work. And those are the 5 guilds of the True Folk. Any questions about any of that? This is just, again, giving oversight about the war, or an overview of the world. The aristocracy has similar groupings, but they are families or houses. Now, one thing I do want to say, when I say families, don't think about bloodlines. Think more like mob families, in the sense that we use family in the same way that you might use guild. It is a collection. It's an organization through loyalty, through unified goals, and through hierarchy and things like that, but it doesn't mean blood relation necessarily. There are several, and they are all so thematically interesting. The first of the major houses of the aristocracy. So, the aristocrats, by the way, before getting into the houses, the aristocrats are... There's nothing really that makes them inherently aristocrats, because again, it's not truly from bloodline. A lot of these individuals who live in these manors and estates weren't the original owners, but when the royals and nobles who did live there during the ruin were either driven off, fled, or ruined themselves, the estates, well, someone had to live there, and someone had to take advantage of all of this wealth and power lying around. It might as well be me. And that's essentially how we got the aristocrats, is they are aristocrats because they say they are, and because they control the money and the loyalty of those who continue to nod along and say, yeah, you are. And some of those aristocrats are quite content to wait for the end of the world in a inebriated state, while others may use their fortune and power to fund public works and do good things around the Dromark. But in terms of the houses, the major houses, the first is House Astus Willow, a bit of a macabre house who thinks that a lot of people fear the ruin unnecessarily and by choice, and they see opportunity in the ruin. Perhaps with further experimentation and harnessing of the ruin's effects, it might be able to be turned to our own advantage as a species. House Belafine, is that correct pronunciation? Belafine? Belafontaine? Belafine. But they have acquired and maintained their position through one of the oldest and most effective tactics in human history: violence and the threat thereof. These aren't necessarily people who go around committing violent acts because it's fun, but they also aren't ones to shy away from it when it is the necessary tool for the job.
I'm also going to interject
Please do.
that for them, it is about logistics. They are into logistics.
What do you mean by that? Could you break that down?
I mean, so it's not relying directly on violence, though that is a big theme within the family, but it is that they are prepared, that they plan, that they're they know how to move material from one side of the Dromark to the other. They are very good at organization, and so sometimes
Strategy.
there's a story. I can't remember where I heard this story now, but I'm going to steal it from whoever I heard it from. It said if I had to chop down a tree, if I had 6 hours to chop down a tree, I'd spend 4
Fucking
hours sharpening the axe. The Belafine are going to spend 4 hours sharpening the axe. Yeah.
Love that. Okay, that's a great, and that would be a great epigram for them, which we'll get to that here in a little bit during character creation. But thank you for that. That is a great way to understand that family. House Dara. This one I would also love a little bit more input from you all and like your opinions on it. But House Dara is one of the younger, newest of the major houses. And as a result, they're frequently treated that way by the other aristocrats, which gives them, that whole underdog, discounted mentality of having to prove themselves, but also taking the slight as a sign that they're doing something right. If they don't like you, you must be doing something right. And trying to establish themselves in the aristocratic hierarchy and gain a little bit more standing. Does that seem right?
Think of them as new money. If you think the Rockefellers, Vanderbilts, they came in. So the aristocratic families who see themselves as the old guard, even though they're not, see this kind of up-jumped family of industrialists coming in, knocking down buildings, building edifices to themselves, and so they are very have that sort of Gilded Age, new money feel to them. They're brats in like the best way.
They don't respect the traditions.
Yes.
Whatever that means
because
to
they
the
have
other
gobs
families.
of money. Yes, they have gobs of money, and so they're gonna say, "Well, what are you gonna do? I'm just gonna do it anyway."
Right.
And I'm actually going to jump one house in order, because if House Dara is the upstart new money, then House Valgrave is the old established money. The roots of this aristocratic family, unlike a lot, go beyond and prior to the ruin. So this is one of those families that has managed to, though perhaps not even close to its full glory prior to the ruin, maintain a semblance of what it once had prior to the ruin coming.
They were like the equivalent of the royals' true folk pre-ruin. So if you these were once the stable hands of royal estates, and once the royals were gone, guess we're here now. So
probably that would make them, given their proximity to the royals, some of the first who were able to claim what
to
was
take advantage of the
abandoned because
situation.
they were there.
Yes.
And then, if we want to go with a house that is fairly easy to stereotype, the House Galdepark, would that be
Yes.
the correct pronunciation? Are some of those who money is both the means and the end. The world, I love the very first sentence describing them in the book. The world may be ending, but money still spends. And for those who have it, the end of the world needn't be any great discomfort. So, the world is ending. I'm probably not going to be able to make it any better, but I can make my time better, and our time better, so let's... but sometimes, it can, some of the best members of the houses might throw soirees that might help to raise money for a good cause or something like that. But they are quite content to use their money in superficial ways and enjoy the ride while they're here. And if you look at their art, boy, do they dress like it. So
Yes, they're trendsetters. They see themselves as the most fashion-forward trendsetters in the Dramark.
And how could you not be when you're willing to spend your money so frivolously? And those are the major guilds of the true folk and the major houses of the aristocrats. Any questions about those?
What about, I didn't hear us talk about,
I know exactly what you're going to say. You're going to say the animal ones, aren't you?
I want to talk about that one.
So that is also House Valgrave, and
That's what I thought.
that
That's what I
connects
thought.
to, as Rachel mentioned, their origin of being people who worked on the estates as well as stable
they
hands.
were wardens and stable hands, and they were essentially started out as the royals' outdoor staff.
So they are very well known for their husbandry, their skill at raising animals, and all of that, including, according to the art in the book here, some that have gone a little beyond normal animals. So
Well, when you have that much power and influence, you get a little weird.
Yeah.
is that monkey smoking a cigar in this
Yes.
image? Because I
Yes.
love that.
One of the
Wait,
first
that's
things I noticed
Rufus,
about the image,
isn't
I was like,
Huh?
Isn't that Rufus?
I think it is. Let me.
think it is.
He has a name.
It's in the structure section of the family. I'm trying to find it.
I don't know if we have it in the book.
I don't think I see it in here.
But
if there is a
we did
name
name
of that,
I'm did name him.
I'm pulling it up in my notes.
there we go.
There you
You
go.
have the
Yeah.
ultimate source book. But as
I love him.
as Rachel is pulling that
Right.
up, the last class of it is Rufus.
It's Reggie.
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 Oh,
Yeah.
of course it is. Don't go.
Reggie.
Reginald.
Yeah.
Sir Reginald.
Reginald.
Reginald, yes.
Reggie.
But the last group to think of is both the easiest and maybe the most difficult to describe, and that is the unbonded. The reason they're the easiest to describe is they don't have any families or classes, they don't have any houses or classes or guilds to go over. Because that's part of what makes them unbonded, is the fact that they aren't a member of an aristocratic house, and they aren't a member of one of the guilds. They live outside of those currently existing social structures, usually in like their own little unbonded enclaves. And there are a lot of stereotypes that go around about the unbonded from certainly from the aristocrats, but even from the true folk themselves. But so why might one want to play an unbonded? They're ones who, well, one, you're unbonded. You get a lot more freedom of choice in terms of you don't have to necessarily make a decision because of loyalty to this guild or this house. But it's also the how would you describe, Rachel or Danny, the unbonded?
Well, the unbondeds are very individualistic. So they have, in kind of like you said, instead of abiding by these specific rules and order and courtesies, they kind of have their own views on the world. And some of those may be, we should tear down the social structure. They don't believe in it. But it could also be people who were, who just want to be outside of society for their own reasons. They don't abide by the guild, or maybe they were kicked out of a guild. And once you're kicked out of a guild, it is a lot harder to get back in, because that means you have done something egregious against the guild's reputation or order. Same with aristocrats. Perhaps you were once a member of an aristocratic family and did something scandalous and ended up getting kicked out or left of your own volition. There are a couple of examples in the book of people who, maybe were even connected to the former royals, who now are not recognized because the royals don't exist anymore, but have that heritage and legacy that may drive them to even resent society even more, or it may drive them to want to somehow find a way to claim what is rightfully theirs from the aristocrats. There's a lot of different ways to go by the unbonded, because they are so individually driven by their own interests and their views on society.
And unbonded can be everything from, like Danny was talking about, like a disgraced guild member to maybe a murderer who has fled for the crime of, killing the lover of your lover, to a dissident or rebel who views this entire system as stupid and insulting to all the rest of humanity, that we're in this catastrophic situation. We're still throwing big parties and owning these estates where how many true folk families might be able to live comfortably instead of in squalor, and so might be on the front lines, figuratively or literally, of like burn this system down. So anywhere and everywhere in between those, if you're not a member of a guild, not a member of a house, you're probably an unbonded at that point. So, I think that is a lot of the info about the Dramark Society, which was the main stuff that I wanted to go over before we jumped into the main rules and character creation, all of that. So any questions, especially from Mallow or Lauren, before we move forward, or interjections from Danny or Rachel? Cool. All right. I made a little cheat sheet for everyone. Again, Danny and Rachel probably don't need it. But for the other two, and for myself, made a little cheat sheet of the basic rules. I sent that in the Discord. The first page just has, glossary on there of some key terms, like afflicted, not infected, when talking about the ruin, which I think is a very nuanced but important distinction that the authors made, because infection implies quarantine, implies catching, implies a lot of things, whereas affliction, simply being afflicted by a thing, can happen at any time. It can't quarantine yourself away from that. So key little distinction, just a little glossary there, but it's the second page that I want to focus on first. So, just in order to understand these basic rules that we're going to talk about, the two things you need to, the first thing you need to understand is attributes. Attributes is a collective term in Our Brilliant Ruin that refers to your 9 personality traits and your the 9 personality traits and the 9 skills. Those are, all 18 are collectively called attributes. Now, for almost every role that you're going to make in Our Brilliant Ruin, almost every role, most of those roles are called tests, and you are going to almost always create a dice pool from a combination of 1 personality attribute and 1 skill. Okay? So, skills and personality attributes both go from a ranking of 0, where you have either no care about that personality trait or no real skill in that thing, to 3, which is the highest, which is a personality trait that you live your life by or a skill that you are damn near a master in. So let's say that you are combining a personality trait that you have a rank of 1 and a skill that you have a rank of 3. So you would be using, let's say, audacity and physicality. Don't worry about the specifics right now, we'll get into those. But if one of those has a rank of 1, one of those has a rank of 3, by combining them, your dice pool is 4 dice. And it's always d6s. So you would then roll 4 d6s for that check, for that test. Now that we know how to build a dice pool, how do we read the results? Most of the time, the only things you're going to care about are 1s and 6s. A 1 is called a gloom, bad. A 6 is called a brill, good. If you roll more brills than glooms, most of the time, that's enough to succeed. There are other situations where you have to roll 2 more brills than glooms, 3 more, or 2 brills, 3 brills, whatever. Because, actually, quick timeout, I misstated the rule a little bit, let me clarify it. It isn't about how many more brills you get than glooms. As long as you get more brills than glooms, it is usually a success. If you roll 3 total brills, it is what is called a triumph, a critical success, as long as you don't roll 4 glooms. Understand how that works? If you roll more bad than good, it's going to not succeed. If you roll more good than bad, it will usually succeed. But if you end up rolling more bad glooms than good, brills, it becomes a catastrophe, which is extra bad. So there is a little dice result summary down there. Again, 6 brill, 1 gloom. Most of the time, you ignore results of 2, 3, 4, and 5. Just pull those off to the side.
I do want to also just interject here really quickly. If you equal the amount, brills will break ties. So that's important to know.
Yes, you have to roll more glooms
Yes.
than failures or than brills for it to be a catastrophe. If it's a tie, you roll 3 brills and 3 glooms. That's still a success.
Yep.
Yeah, I wanted to
please.
sort of explain that a little bit more too, in the sense that failure is not really we're trying to get away from the idea of failure. Like, it is not really success versus failure. It is either the intended outcome that you wanted happened versus perhaps an unintended outcome. So that was the other reason why we wanted to get into brills and glooms and kind of call them these different names. So we just want to be able to, like, just because a thing doesn't happen the way that you think it was doesn't necessarily make it bad. But if you do roll those more glooms, then there's usually some sort of price to pay for the cheeky thing you just tried to do.
Well said. And I think all of us here are big believers in failure is a good thing and interesting. So for simple tasks, usually just 1 brill is enough to achieve your desired outcome. Again, as long as you don't have more glooms than that. So if I roll 1 brill and 1 gloom, I'm good for most simple tasks. But if I roll 2 glooms and 1 brill, now things are
Maybe not so helpful.
gonna turn out a little differently probably than I intended. Does that make sense?
That's just how my daily life works.
So I know this is a super silly exercise, but grab some D6s,
Okay.
like ideally more than 2, just for interest. Just grab some D6s really quick. I got 5 right here. And then just go ahead and roll them. We're just going to do a practice interpretation. So let's say I was rolling to try to defend my paramour's honor in a witty repartee. And I had a combined dice pool of 5, which is what I just rolled. I rolled a 2, 3, 4, 4, 5. So I literally didn't roll either a gloom or a brill. But because I didn't even roll 1 brill, that's probably, it would be a contested thing in the example that I gave, probably. But in all likelihood, I will not achieve my desired outcome there. Did anyone else have some to roll?
Oh, I just straight up rolled a gloom. Like,
Just 1?
immediately. Yeah, it was just like 1 gloom. Whatever you were trying to do, Rachel, did not
And
happen.
that would definitely be more glooms than brills. So then we have, again, what is called a catastrophe. And that is when not only does it not go the way you planned, like my result with nothing would be like, that just didn't quite work out. If I, with a gloom though, maybe in my attempt to defend my paramour's honor, I let slip something I didn't want to. You know, something, there might be a negative outcome to this, not just a non-positive, but a potentially negative outcome to that roll. Anyone else get to roll?
I rolled some. I rolled a 1, 5, 2, and 4. So my 5, 2, and 4 has no effect, and so then I have my 1 left.
You have a 1.
Right?
Yep, so that is a gloom. So the same roll that Rachel rolled.
I'm here.
And
What you do with that is your thing now.
And ideally,
This isn't boding well.
well, just
Or-
get them out. Just get them out now. Just get them out. That's how dice work. There's a set number of them in there. Danny, Mallow?
I got a 6, a 2, and a 2, so I'm bringing it up for the team.
There we go.
Oh,
here.
good.
So
He's
yeah.
gonna carry us through.
Single
Yeah.
grill.
Really appreciate it.
I got 2 6s, a 1, a 4, and a 2. So
There you
Oh.
go.
Made it.
that's going.
All right.
2 6s.
So that was a
All right.
digital dice roller. Trust me, by the time we get to the real dice, it's probably not going to go well.
All right. So, with
Thank
the
you.
basic understanding of building dice pools and how to interpret the basic results on there, and just so you all know, you all do all the dice rolling. I don't. NPCs have static values for things that you would contest, and so I don't have to roll pretty much any dice ever. It's a player-facing system, but
Good
with
to see what you do with that.
yeah, it's just my job to help
It's a different thing
interpret.
for you.
But with that, the next concept I want to talk about is passion. There is a rule in Our Brilliant Ruin called Invoking Passion. So, if you have your still blank character sheet available, if you look towards the bottom, there's a big ol' row called Passion, and it has 5 blank spaces. Those are for you to put dice in. So, the way this works is, you can, on any test,
Oh, it's fillable.
yes it is, on any test, you can choose to invoke your passion on that test to do a little bit better. When you do, you get to add 2 dice to your dice pool. So if I had 5, I would then make it 7. And also, 5s will start counting as brills as well as 6s. So you'll add 2 dice and double your chances of rolling brills on all of your dice. You will also add 1 die to that little passion tracker there. Okay? You'll just put it there and have it sit there. You can do this on any test, anytime you'd like. Once you have filled all 5 of those squares, though, you have to do something called sweep your passion dice, which is on your very next test, whatever it is after you add your 5th, your very next test, you're going to pick up all 5 of those dice and roll them in addition to your standard dice pool. But here's the catch. Those passion dice can't roll brills. They can only roll glooms. So you would ignore on those dice 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. But if any of those came up as 1s, that would be an additional gloom. And that is how invoking passion and sweeping your passion dice works. Any questions about that? Do you need me to re-explain any of it?
I mean, I can just add
Please,
that the
yeah.
whole idea of that is, if you think about when you do something in your passions and you need it, it doesn't necessarily make you steady. It doesn't necessarily make you have a lot of forethought. And so what it was trying to kind of capture that idea of emotionality and swinginess, and that you might succeed at all these things. So you have all of your adrenaline going and you're great, and then that adrenaline is going to drop. And so the idea then is the next thing you try to do is kind of the odds are stacked against you.
And, I just thought of it as kind of like just that emotional exhaustion point.
Yeah,
like-
it's a little bit of a press your luck system. It's a bit of a,
Mhm.
yeah, it's all of those things.
Like,
Yeah.
I will also add, don't be afraid to use
Oh, yeah.
your passion
Right.
points.
Do
We
it.
have seen players in the past who, just don't want to use it, don't want to touch it. But if you kind of think about the math of the kind of raw dice rolls that you're doing with your personality and skills, the success rate is not super high. The passion is what's really going to give you an edge on succeeding on certain tests. So when you're really hitting a test that you want to get that advantage in, don't be afraid to use those passion dice. And again, because failure is not necessarily failure, it's just complicating the situation and still driving the story forward. Even getting your passion swept is more so just creating more story drivers in the future
That's what
and ways that things can move forward still.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Was it from a mechanical perspective? Yeah, sweeping those dice can be scary, but from a storytelling perspective, amazing. So, and that's what we're here for, is for the good old stories. So, plus, I mean, it's not that fatal a game, so you should be okay. I mean, not that fatal. Not like Call of Cthulhu fatal. But, yeah, so that is sweeping your passion dice. The last... we don't even need to go over that right now. In the basic rules on the right-hand side, there's how vitality and distress work. Vitality is... hell, we'll go over it. Vitality is your physical well-being. Gets impacted by physical damage. Distress is your social and emotional and mental well-being, which gets impacted by social strife and things like that. Whenever you have filled out all of your distress or your vitality, when you are at 0 of any of those, you enter a danger state, at which time a number of things happen. You can't take certain actions, and if it's your vitality, you are moments away from being able to be killed if you get to 0 remaining in your vitality. Not something that is terribly likely to come up in this one shot, but it might. So just so you know what those generally represent.
Challenge accepted.
Hey, if it's your challenge to make it so your character goes down in a one shot, let's do it. All right. Any questions about those rules? Because honestly, that's the bulk of the mechanics of Our Brilliant Ruin. Any questions or comments? Anything that...
So there is one more thing, which is portfolio.
Correct.
Unless I missed it.
No, that wasn't mentioned
Okay.
on this specific one. I was going to be talking about it when we get to the character sheet of it, but
Yeah.
we can totally cover it right now.
It's up to you.
So
Just wanted to make sure we didn't miss it.
it's very important. Thank you for doing so. So we talked about how your attributes are your skills and your personality traits. There's also something called your portfolio. These are external things, material or immaterial, that you can call upon to your benefit. Things like a mentor, your reputation, your title, your wealth. These don't require roles, but they usually take more time to implement. So it's less likely that they'll be useful in the immediate moment, like during an initiative order or something like that. But with a little bit more time, you could, like, let's say you had the portfolio, you had access, is what it's called. So you're trying to get into a club, and is your name on the guest list? And you just say, I'm going to spend I'm going to use my portfolio, my access portfolio, to have my name be on that list there. And you would spend a point, like, yeah, if you would look down, third from the top, oh, there it is, thank you, welcome on in. Boom, just like that. Mentor, you might be able to call on your mentor for a little bit of help or advice. Again, since you're literally having to call on a person, it might take a little bit longer. Not saying that could be done immediately, but no role necessary. Does that make sense? Aristocrats can have eventually, I don't think we'll get to it here, but eventually can have their portfolio be up to 5 ranks in a particular one. Everyone else is limited to 3. Because y'all have less than the aristocrats. Sorry, that's the world. But you have other things to make up for it. So those are generally that's the general idea of the portfolios. We'll go over the specifics of all of them as we are creating our characters, though. Any questions about any of that? No? Cool! Well, in that case, here's what I'm going to suggest, everybody. Let's take just a 3-minute break, 3 to 5 minute break, so people can go to the bathroom, refresh the coffee, or whatever they need to do, and then we're going to jump back and actually start talking about making our characters. So be right back. Don't go anywhere. See you soon. And we are back. You're right, Mallow. That text is difficult to read. I'll use a different font there. It looks fine on my screen, but that doesn't matter if no one else can read it. Don't worry, I will have a much better layout for this, for the actual one-shot, which just so everyone listening here, actually, if you're listening to it, you probably already watched the one-shot, but it'll be airing in February, just so you know. All right, we're going to go ahead and jump into the character creation aspect, so go ahead and pull up that fillable PDF. Now, before we can actually start the full-on character creation, you see how there are those 9 personality traits and the 9 skills? Some of those, the word for them makes it fairly obvious to understand what they are, like the fight skill, or the observe skill, craft, physicality even. But some of the personality traits take a little explaining to fully understand what they mean. So I just want to read out just some really brief descriptions of each of those. So audacity, the audacity, that is your self-assurance, your self-respect, your belief in yourself. And it could be manifest as a quiet dignity to outright vanity, all of that. Benevolence, kindness, affection, broader appreciation for others. Cunning, the indirect, deceptive methods of doing things. Might be clever, might be more deceitful. They are all kind of open for interpretation, with some massage room, which is part of the design intent. Decorum, doing things properly. Table manners, hierarchy, or respective hierarchy, the unspoken and spoken codes of conduct, how much that matters to you and how much you adhere to those. Defiance, kind of the opposite. Rebellion, questioning authority, all of that. Ingenuity, your creativity, imagination, original problem-solving skills. Loyalty, that one kind of makes sense. That loyalty can be out of love or duty or responsibility. This could be the selfless devotion of one of the members of the Hand and Glove Guild to a family. It could be your love to an unrequited love, or to your mother. It ranges, all different types of loyalty. Obsession, that one's kind of self-explanatory in there. And sensitivity, your awareness of your surroundings, your ability to pick up on the emotions of others, how receptive and empathetic you are. So those are the personality traits. And again, they'll be able to range anywhere from 0 to 3. 0 is, it's not an outlook or part of your personality that manifests often or that you care about that much. So if you had a sensitivity of 0, like caring about the emotions and feelings of others, that's not how I make my decisions. As opposed to a 3, which would be Lauren in real life. Highly empathetic, very much caring about how other people are doing and things like that. The skills, again, some of them pretty self-explanatory in terms of their name, but a few aren't. Express expresses your ability to communicate ideas in your own personal style. This could be verbal or nonverbal, direct or indirect, explicit or nuanced. Foster, your ability to nurture or inspire or grow things. It could be as broad as like medicine and with childbirth, literally, like fostering that, or farming, bringing plant life into the world. Intrigue is your capacity for subterfuge, secret planning, deceit, all of that. Intuit and observe are 2 that I want to talk about because they kind of, to me, are a similar wisdom versus intelligence that a lot of people deal with in Dungeons and Dragons, where observe is your ability to actually notice things, to observe physical details, sense moods, all of that, while intuit is your ability to put two and two together, solve puzzles, take the information that you have and see how that all lines up. So one is literally noticing and one is putting information together. Physicality is basically everything physical that isn't fighting. Swimming, jumping, knocking down a door, whatever it may be. And transgress is related to intrigue, but explicitly those things that go beyond the social norms and quote-unquote rules. I say quote-unquote rules because there isn't really a legal organization at the moment. It's more social order. So those are the general skills. Now, the first thing everyone has to decide is whether you are going to be an aristocrat, true folk, or unbonded. We need at least one aristocrat, though. For the story to make any capacity of sense, really, or I will have to play an NPC aristocrat for it to make sense. Is there any way anyone is leaning? Mallow, I know you have the quickest deadline for hopping off today, so did you have a faction you were thinking of?
I volunteer as tribute for aristocracy.
Okay, and as part of that, you get to choose which house you are a member of in the process, and for the character creation process of a aristocrat, pull this up. Come on.
What's better for you for this story that we would like to tell? Would it be better for Astus, Willow, or I'm gonna mispronounce it probably, or Goldapark?
I mean, Goldapark is fun, but I mean both. Anything works. If memory serves, a few of the sample aristocrats for this little one shot were Astus Willow, so that certainly would work.
Okay, Goldapark is kind of my fave out of all of them so far. If that's cool with you,
I don't at this point see a reason it wouldn't work. So yeah,
Okay.
do the one that is fun for you.
Perfect.
Now, when creating if you look at page 95 of the Our Brilliant Ruin book, when you're creating an aristocrat character, you get to assign 6 personality attributes. 3 of them will be at a 1, 2 of them will be at a 2, and 1 of them will be at a 3. All the others are 0. Your skill points, you get to choose 2, 2, and 1, with all the others being 0. And for your portfolio, you get the same as your personality attributes. 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, and 3.
And then when it says that aristocrats begin play with 5 boxes in vitality and stress, does that mean I just need to X out the last 2?
Yes.
So there's 7 total.
You have a higher portfolio is one of your advantages, but you are a frailer individual because you've lived a privileged life. So your distress and vitality suffer a little bit. So I'm going to, while you are assigning those things, I'm going to jump over to the next. Has anyone else decided what faction they would like to be?
I think, Lauren, do you have something that you want to do? Because I think Danny and I are going to be much better filling in little gaps
Fair.
where
Yes.
we
Totally
feel
fair
like we
enough.
might need it.
Respect.
So when you think of the character that you want to play, what's your dream come true?
Good question. Good way to phrase that. So in an ideal world, I love the Valgreaves because I'm big into animals. I think I would like to be part of the service aspect of things. I don't want to
True
be. So True Folk. I was thinking League of Glove and Key potentially.
Love it.
I would like access to like aristocratic life, but not have to deal with the social repercussions and expectations of being part of that family. So I'd like to be someone who is like well trusted for, I don't know, like maybe mucking out kennels, or being the person who procures the best feed, or
You could
something
be
like
the
that.
hounds person, or
Yeah.
games warden, or
Now, for
give
what
me
it's
all the
worth,
elements.
if you were looking at being part of the guild of, was it Hand and Glove in Hand?
Glove and Key.
Glove and
Glove and
Key.
Key.
Glove and Key.
Glove
But
and
you could
Key.
definitely be working for
Yeah.
Mallow's character.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You could be, the houndskeeper. You could be
Okay.
the stable master. Anything you'd like. It's not like only that family has animals. They just
Right,
have a
but-
particular affinity.
Yes, but I want to be the person that they've trusted for a long time. Someone who's really close to them. Someone who's like I says gets the bonuses of being affiliated with these people
So,
without having the detriment.
Why don't you, for the
House
purposes
master?
of this one shot, instead of
Okay.
being part of the Valgrieve family, if we
Okay.
have Astus Willow already here, who clearly the families need stable masters, houndskeepers,
Yeah.
you could be part of Mallow's staff and do
Okay.
that.
We will definitely. It's
You could
Golda Park,
even-
so we'll have a lot of peacocks.
You could even
I'm
have
all
been
about the power.
previously
Let's
a
go.
member of the Valgrieve estate and have been only recently brought over to Mallow's character's employ. Because
Yes,
they do
I would like that.
they do change where they work. It's not like you are there forever. So you could have, in your life, that's part of your qualifications. I mean, if you worked with the Valgrieve outdoor groundskeepers, you're probably some of the best. So
Yeah.
Mallow hired someone good to work on that estate. Okay.
I would love that.
All right. So then you would be True Folk, the League of Glove and Key, and when creating a True Folk character, you already chose your guild. You get to assign personality attributes 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, and 3, just like Mallow. Your skills get to be 3, 2, 2, 1, 1. But you also get to do something interesting as a True Folk, and that is choose a special personal skill. This is something that is not one of the listed skills, and it is something that you will just always succeed on. This is your infallible skill. Now, this still has to be realistic. It can't be like mind reading, flying,
Money.
but things like animal husbandry or dog handling, dog training, or whatever, those would absolutely be something that fit into the type of character you want to be. So in addition to assigning your 5 skills, 1, 1, 2, 2, and 3, you get to then think of what your special skill, your True Folk special skill, will be. As for the portfolio, you only get 3, and they are all 3 at 1. But you get 1 free point in title because of your guild membership.
Get wrecked, everybody else.
You also have 5 boxes in your vitality and distress. Alright, so we have 1 True Folk, 1 Aristocrat.
Do you want unbonded, or do we want to keep it to aristocrats and true folk?
I mean, I think that the way that our Brilliant Ruin was set up, it justifies that an unbonded can still be in a social circle with people who aren't. So I'm fine with it. I think then it's not going to impact me. It's going to impact the roleplay for all of you and how you deal with one another and why you all are associated. So I'm fine with it.
Danny, do you have a preference?
I'll play an unbonded. That way we've got everything represented, and then you've got free reign to do whatever you want, Rachel.
I think I might play the sister of Mallow.
Yeah, 2 members of the
Oh,
family. There we
okay.
go.
Ooh. How much pomp and circumstance can one have? All of it.
Excellent.
And
The lazy do-nothing sister. That's right.
And just so
Ooh,
you
I
all
love
know,
that.
as you're creating this character, the one thing I'll tell you about the one shot, the general layout, is that it's going to be the 2 aristocrats have essentially have taken over ownership of a crumbling estate. And this is, I guess, the estate that the, Astus Willow family has given to you to make better and to improve upon. This is your little assignment as part of the house, essentially. This is your job. And it's both your job and your payment. So you get this place, you're welcome, and fix it up. You're welcome. And so we have 1 member of the household staff, we have 2 aristocrats, and we have an unbonded. Now, I'm going to ask Danny some questions about the unbonded here in a sec so that we can all figure out how we know each other. But the one thing I want to also mention on your character sheet. So first of all, that special skill I was talking about, Lauren, that's your true folk competency. So that's where that
Okay, I
would
was
go.
going to ask if that's what that was.
The epigram.
Thank you.
The epigram is a non-mechanical phrase that essentially helps to summarize your character's worldview, belief. It can be how they view life, how they wish the world would be. It could be true or false. Some examples that are given in the book, because I love the Oscar Wilde one, is the secret to life is to enjoy the pleasure of being terribly, terribly deceived. Or the respect that is only bought by gold is not worth much. I have one aim, the grotesque. If I am not grotesque, I am nothing. Honesty means nothing until you are tested under circumstances where you are sure you could get away with dishonesty. The way the book also says it, which I think is great, is if someone were having a conversation with your character and your character said this phrase, it would be one that they would then go to their friends and be like, you won't believe this quote that they said. And then say it like that. Just kind of sums up part of your character's beliefs and identity or worldview. You don't have to have that right now, but it's a nice distilling of your character into a elevator pitch, essentially. So that's something to think of with the epigram aspect. Now, with the unbonded aspect, Danny, why is your character unbonded? Do you have any ideas?
So I'm thinking my character used to be part of a guild and became unbonded, because I think that's really interesting. I'm thinking that maybe he was part of the Rivet and Bellows Union originally, but dealing with guild jobs and ethics, there's a lot of like, we can only take certain jobs from certain people, and they have to do this, and they have to jump through these hoops, and we only serve, these families for this division, and we only serve these families for this division. And I feel like my character maybe just got really fed up with so much guild involvement and oversight and the stuff that he wanted to do, and just kind of started doing his own stuff on the side, And Rachel can chime in here because I don't know the intricacies of the guilds as much as you do, but would that be a cause for somebody to come unbonded, or is there some sort of inciting incident that would
you
have
can choose to
occur?
be unbonded. Yes, like any character can say, I no longer want to participate in the guilds. The true folk in general, but not always, are just too nervous to do that. They like their comfy lifestyle. They like to be
Boredom.
protected. So that would also indicate your audacity. Probably. Like, you should probably have some points in there just to say, like, I'm tired of aristocrats. I'm tired of guilds. I'm going to pioneer on my own.
Really quick, just because we had a raid, and before people sign off and switch to something else, I want to give the shout out. We are doing session 0 for this awesome system called Our Brilliant Ruin. Highly recommended. And not only are we doing a session 0 for this one shot, we are actually here with 2 members of Studio Hermitage, including one who helped do a lot of the writing. So we are getting ready for a one shot in this awesome setting that is a combination of like post-apocalyptic and Edwardian and Roaring 20s. There's so much in here with and gothic horror and eldritch horror. There's so much all mashed into one amazing setting. So check this out, and we'll be doing the one shot in February, just so you know. Back to our regularly scheduled session 0 chat.
Then yeah, I think my character probably just left of his own accord. I think he was kind of tired of dealing with the guild and being only able to take the jobs that they kind of are okay with or assign him.
Dorcha. Let's make your character Dorcha.
Ooh, okay, I like that. I like that.
Yes. So the Dorcha is part of the unbonded shadow economy. They're sort of like criminals, like they're taking advantage of the situation for their own benefits. And I think that you were probably making better money and had more power because of your skills going and doing some black market work or like underground work.
So do you think his character is now like essentially on the payroll of your family for that off the books work?
I think that's what so that's where I'm trying to get to. I'm sort of thinking like, that we have some
Arrangements.
flexibly ethical contacts.
Yeah, I mean
And we've got and
the Astis Willa family or house seems like they wouldn't be too above utilizing those black market contacts.
No, and I actually like the idea that Mallow was specifically his characters who specifically inherited this house, and so and we've done a little pulling on some strings that we're gonna try to get this work done like under the table.
I love
Like
this.
let's not get the guilds involved, and yet we have this guild person who's watching us the entire time.
Now, I know Mallow has to run. So before you run, have you managed to assign anything, Mallow?
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear it.
He is so I'll just go down the line with personality and everything like that. Audacity of 3, benevolence of 0, cunning of 2, decorum of 1, defiance 0, ingenuity 1, loyalty 0, obsession 2, sensitivity 1.
Just make sure that's 3, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1. All right.
And then for skills, craft 0, express 0, fight 0, foster 0, intrigue 2, intuit 0, observe 2, physicality 0, transgress 1.
0, 0, 0, 0. Okay, so
I love it.
I mean the picture that we're and what I love about this system is the picture we're already getting in this character with a 3 in audacity, self-assurance, self-belief, a 2 in cunning, a 2 in intrigue, and 2 in observe and transgress. Like this person is definitely probably has comfort in the shady dealings, it seems.
I was writing down as we were going through the characters that we inherited this place, but now we want to bring it up to utter opulence to show our power and our ability to maybe even lead the family at one day sort of piece. So he's going to be very over the top, very flamboyant in a lot of ways.
I can't wait. And one thing I did want to say before you hop off, now that we have an example of a personality and skill layout, the way that Our Brilliant Ruin is laid out with the building of the dice pool, it's usually what skill it's going to be is usually pretty obvious, though you can go about accomplishing things in numerous ways. But what personality trait is added into it is entirely dependent upon you as a character and how you are going about it mentally. You could be like, let's say you were fighting someone. Depending on why you're doing it, it could be audacity. And like, just because someone challenged you and like, you're totally confident that you've got this. It could be loyalty because someone insulted your boss. It could be obsession because it's the lover of your secret paramour. It could be defiance because someone told you what to do. And so your attitude going into it is going to be for you all to decide. So it's going to be very rare that I will say, cunning plus this. It'll be dependent upon how you describe your character is going about it. Make sense?
Mhm.
All right.
Mhm.
I know you got to run, Mallow. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate you for being here. Have a good meeting, my friend.
Thank you so much. Good to see everybody, and
Yeah,
good to
see
meet
you too.
everybody as well. So I'll see you soon.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah.
Bye, y'all.
All right. Give me 2 seconds now that Mallow has hopped off. I have to resize things. Give me a moment here.
I think I assigned all my things too.
Okay, give me 2 seconds if you don't mind, so that we can actually see
No,
you
yeah,
all
no,
instead
I
of
heard
like
you.
Danny's just
Oh,
forehead.
okay. I heard you.
Now that the screen,
I don't even wanna see that stuff.
I don't even want to.
I
I'm not
get
even
that.
gonna
Believe
I'm not
me,
even gonna-
I understand. All right, Lauren, we're doing it live, y'all. Nothing like live OBS adjustments. The most entertaining thing on Twitch. Thank you for being here. And one more to adjust, and then we're golden. All right. So, Lauren, you said you had picked some things. What
I
have
think I
you
did the correct
picked?
thing. So it's let's just clarify 1, 1, 2, 2, 3 for personality, or is there an additional one that I'm
You
missing?
are true folk. Personality is 111 223.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we are. Oops. I just hold please.
Did you break it?
Okay. No. Yeah, a little bit. Okay, so audacity 1, benevolence 2, cunning 0, decorum 1, defiance 0, ingenuity 2, loyalty 1, obsession 0, sensitivity 3.
Ooh, okay. So I'm guessing your choice for sensitivity 3 was out of like animal sensitivity and things like that.
That's right.
Got it.
Correct. That's correct. That's what I should be
Sure.
doing, right?
There's nothing wrong with it. There's no wrong choice. No wrong choice. I was just
Okay,
trying
cool,
to
cool, cool, cool,
come
cool,
to an understanding of who your character was and what led to that
Oh, yeah.
choice. And what about your skills?
Craft 2, express 2, fight 1, foster. I should change, but it's 0. Intrigue 0, intuit 0. Observe 3, physicality 1, and transgress 0.
I mean, foster would make sense to have.
I think it would make sense. So should I move my, just let my physicality be the 0 that it actually is?
It's up to you. Again, not a wrong answer. I'm just saying based off of the concept of someone who, like, your job
Yeah.
is raising animals or whatever.
That's kinda what I
maybe
thought.
Foster makes sense.
That's what it was before physicality, because at first physicality, I was like, I feel like I have to have something in it so I don't just get the shit beat out of me. But I mean, it is what it is, I'm a squishy little guy. Cool. And was I allowed how many in portfolio?
A 1 and a 1.
A 1 and a 1.
Oh, I'm sorry. You get 3 1s as a true folk.
okay.
Plus, you get an auto 1 in title.
So I get a 4 total, basically.
As long as
basically
one
what
of them
I'm
is
hearing.
in title, yes.
Yes. I have mentor, reputation, and tools and equipment.
That makes sense. And one thing to
That's
keep in
good, that
mind,
seems
the distinction between title and reputation, because
Yeah.
it might be confusing for some. Title is literally like your title. So in your case, like whatever your name is, member of the League of Glove and Key. That is your an actual title.
You also have a guild rank. You're apprentice, a fellow, or a master. So that title is also supposed to represent that aspect of your rank. If you want to be really amazing, you can be a master. If you want to be a new person trying to learn the ropes, it's an apprentice. and your fellow is kind of your middle rank.
I want to be the very best. No one.
You ain't a
Yeah, I wanna be
master. I'll
master.
tell
I
you
wanna be
that.
close
Not with
to
a
master.
one
I want to be
for your
close
reputation.
to a master. Come on, man.
You can be a fellow.
I'll work up to it. I'll work up to it.
You can be a fellow. So a
my-
fellow of the League of Glove and Keys. So like that's
Wait.
title, whereas
Oh,
reputation
okay. I understand now.
is something you are known for. Now it doesn't just have to be one thing, obviously, but you have 1 point in there, so you could spend that point in a situation where, like, let's say, again, a hypothetical built around your character. Another aristocratic family is trying to is having issues with some of their dogs, and you're trying to offer your assistance, and they're doubting your capabilities. You might be able to spend spend that portfolio point in reputation. It's like, well, I'm known for actually being great with dogs.
Yeah.
So I'm going to use my reputation to change and then that reputation for a quality, for a trait. That's the difference between reputation and title. Title is literally like a title, like the "do you know who I am" style thing, whereas reputation is "do you know what I'm about."
Yeah. Okay, and that's why I put it in there, because I think I would probably
Is
having
that
a good met.
distinction?
What?
Does that distinction sound right, Rachel, Danny, between title and reputation?
Yeah, reputation is just what you're known for. Title is the actual. Even aristocrats can even use title because they are lord or lady such and such, or baroness of such and such. You know, all of those.
On that note, one thing I do want to say about titles in Dramark and Our Brilliant Ruin is they are very loosey-goosey in terms of
Yeah, you can call yourself whatever
aristocratic
you
titles. Like a baron can be married, or like Baron Valdiv might be married to the Countess Desimar. Like they're all like they're self-styled titles, which is why the generic is like his lordship, his ladyship, because that way we don't have to try to keep track of anything formal, because they aren't even keeping track of anything formal in terms of those ranks. They don't mean much, except the meaning you give them. Okay, so those were your skills and your portfolios. Have you thought of your true folk competency, Lauren?
I'm sorry. I.
That's the
So
skill.
where do I find that? Yeah.
No, so it's your
I just-
creation.
It's my
We can
idea.
talk
Okay.
about it.
Okay, cool. That's what I kind of thought. And I was like, I wanted my thing to be I want my thing to be in real life that I'm a friend of creatures.
I mean, I think animal handling would be a fair true folk competency. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that feel correct?
Yeah.
Is that animal husbandry? Is that
Yeah, I would go
same
with that.
thing?
Animal husbandry, animal handling, like any of that. Just a way of describing it so that if a situation comes up where, like, there's a snarling dog, you could just be like, I'm going to use my true folk competency to try to bring down its energy, and you would just do it.
De-escalate,
Now,
if you will.
a thing to note about true folk competency is the auto success is rarely going to be absolutely brilliant and like the highest possible thing. Like if you were trying to quickly repair like the engine of a dirigible, you wouldn't be able to just auto success perfect working for the next 5 years, but you might be able to use your true folk competency if it were in like engine repair or whatever to quickly make it work for now, you know.
Okay. Also, I forgot there was a dirigible attached to one of the manor houses in the book.
I do love
and
that
I
art.
think that's insane and amazing.
Yeah, dirigible steam trains, there's so,
So
much
cool.
cool
Like, just
made out
okay.
those not siloplastic, what is it?
Siliconetic.
Siliconet. There it is. So cool. All right, so that is Lauren's character. Do you have an idea for your name?
No,
That's cool.
but it'll probably end in AH.
Yours
knowing
typically
me.
do.
Yeah.
All right. How about Danny?
Yep. So I've got my unbonded pretty much built here.
You seem like you're very
Um,
familiar with the system.
Yeah, maybe. Weird. So my personality traits, I've got Defiance at 3,
Ooh, yeah.
Audacity at 2, Ingenuity at 2, and then Benevolence, Cunning, and Obsession at 1. For my skills, I've got Craft at 3, Observe at 2, and Intrigue and Transgress at 1.
I can
and
see
then-
why Mallow's character hired you. You had 3 of the
Yes.
4 same
Very
skills.
Yeah, just so happened. We're on the same wavelength there. For portfolio, I've got 2 in access, and then 1 in reputation and 1 in tools and equipment.
So 2 in access, 1 in tools, 1 in reputation. Is that what you said?
Correct.
Cool.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yep.
Have you, because I didn't ask Mallow or Lauren just because they're not as familiar with the game, have you thought of your character's epigram, or is that something you're still thinking of?
Yes. So, my character's name is Gregory Shaw,
Gregory Shaw.
and my epigram is keep your tools sharp and your words blunt.
Ooh, good one.
Yeah.
Look at you being clever today.
I
I
know.
like that one. Because definitely, if someone said that in a conversation, I'd be like, this guy said something really smart. You hear that?
Yes.
I like that. Tools sharp and words blunt. Okay, so that's your epigram, name, faction, personality, skills, and portfolio. And y'all, that's how easy it is to make a character in Our Brilliant Ruin. The actual character creation process is really fast. Rachel.
I'm still I'm
Still
the
thinking?
slow one.
That's cool.
Today. I'm
That's
still kind
fine.
of working on things, but
Tell me what you got,
Well,
what
'cause
you're
I'm also
thinking.
trying to think about like what Mallow. I kind of want to try to be a little different than what Mallow's doing, so I'm
Mhm.
kind of looking at that, but I don't want to be helpful.
Okay.
Like, I don't want
I
to
want
be
to
a
be
helpful
different in the
character.
most unhelpful way possible.
Yeah,
I want to
so
be accompanying
my
environment.
but I did pick my highest skill is loyalty at 3.
Okay.
So loyal to the people, loyal to the house, like loyal to what we're doing.
And just
And
a
then-
reminder, because I just pulled up Mallow's character sheet for Niles.
I'm
and
Grayla.
His skills, his highest was in Audacity, then 2 in Cunning and Obsession, 1 in Decorum, Ingenuity, and Sensitivity.
Yeah, so I did 1 in Audacity.
Yep.
1 in Benevolence.
Oh, okay.
Because somebody's got to be
Someone's
nice in
got to
this
actually
party.
give a damn about someone else.
Yeah. I did pick 2 in Cunning.
No, you both.
0 in Decorum.
Okay.
I just threw
This
Decorum out the
family.
window.
You two cannot tell your
Defiance
salad
of
fork.
2, the Defiance of 2, Loyalty of 3, and Obsession of 1. So 0 Ingenuity. Kind of,
A loyalty of 3 is a very cool addition here, and I think will add well to the story. Having one of the siblings with a 0 loyalty, and the other with it being their most valued personality trait, or most important, that's a cool contrast.
So clearly, the family has sent me along to keep an eye on him.
I think so.
Yeah.
And that's part of that cunning too, right? It's
Mhm.
part of that 2 in cunning is also for keeping an eye on your brother. What about your skills? Any
Still
ideas
working
there?
A little bit on skills. I've got 2 in Express and 2 in Transgress.
Got it.
So I'm gonna be mouthy.
But you're going to be good
That
at it.
feels appropriate.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think, like 1, maybe I'll put Foster because I'm kind of doing this like slightly nice side. So maybe I'll do 1 in Foster. I'm still working on the portfolio. But it may just be a glut of wardrobe and wealth, to be honest.
I love the idea of a wardrobe, and you're just
Yeah.
like in the most elegant stuff, and it's like every scene you're in a different outfit or something.
Pretty much, yes. It's dressing for the occasion.
I mean, clothing matters
So-
in this. And having the
Well.
wardrobe one just means you get to spend a point like, I have the perfect attire to upstage. So, now that we have the basics of characters built and pretty much all of it, the last thing I want to close on is one more circling back to the way the dice system and skills and attributes work together now that we have character sheets in front of us. So, Lauren, let's say your character was outside on the estate, was tending to the dogs in the kennels, and a member of, let's say, the Belafine family, one of their, the true folk who work in their estate, had approached you and was attempting to squeeze some information out of you about your employer with courtesy, but just digging for information. You might want to push back against this and try to maybe even get some information of your own about this competing family. So if you were trying to, in this social, this would be what is classified as a social conflict. There are physical conflicts and there are social conflicts. Not all social interactions qualify as conflicts. Saying hi, giving nice compliments, things that are going agreeably aren't conflicts, but things where there's a little bit of tension, those would be conflicts. So as your character would be trying to not only conceal and not give away important information to your employer, but you're also trying to get some information out of the other person, you would then make a roll to do so. And depending on how you would try to go about it and why you would go about it, that would determine the dice pool. So let's use this just as the example to build a dice pool. You are trying to get information. Oh, lost Rachel.
Oh, Rachel lost power for a moment.
Oh no.
Yeah, she should be back hopefully in a minute.
That's all right.
here.
We're just going to, even with the video being a little bit weird, we're just going to keep chatting about this example. So for right now, just use audio. Rachel will come back momentarily. So Lauren, your character is trying to get information from the valet of the Belafine house that has come to speak with you. How would your character be trying to get information? So that the how is the skills. You could be doing it through intrigue and trying to subtly get information from, this individual, just trying to weasel out a little bit. You could make the argument for something like physicality, where you're trying to get up in his face and say, you're going to tell me what you know, or you're not walking out of here with your nose looking so pretty. You could do intuit or observe, where you're just trying to notice
Do I just pick one?
information. Yes, you would have to pick
Okay.
one. That's the beauty of the way the Our Brilliant Ruin skills and personality combination works, is that you can try to accomplish the same thing in numerous ways. So right now, just to give an example of how this would work, how would you be trying to get this information?
Okay, so based on the skills that I have, I think my best. I'm a pretty nice guy, right? I'm a pretty nice lady. I think I would probably have a rapport with people for being pretty nice. So I think I'm just going to express my need for information.
Okay, so just essentially trying to convince the person,
Yeah.
like, look, I'll give you
Yeah.
some, you give me some, it's
Give
good
me
for us both.
some,
Okay.
It'd be really good.
So
we
the
can do
skill
this
you
often.
chose, and again, note that we had a conversation there, and that's the way it
Mhm.
works in OBR, is telling how you want to do something, then figure out what skill that would best be. So
that.
express, now that's the how. The next question is the why, or the how mentally are you approaching this situation. So that's the personality trait. So why is your character trying to get this information, or what mental state is your character in while trying to do so?
I think I'm sensitive enough to know that this person also wants information, and I'm going to play on their need for information. So I think potentially utilizing my sensitivity would be smart.
I think, especially if you're trying to get information by being a sympathetic
Yeah.
individual and all of that, I would say
Pair
a
'em up.
sensitivity and express roll there. So what is your sensitivity rank?
3,
3. And what is your express rank?
2.
2. So you have a dice pool of 5 currently. Now, if this were a very important situation where you just wanted to do it, you could always invoke your passion if you want and make it 7 dice in your dice pool. So for right now, just because we haven't fiddled with invoking passion, let's do that. So if you can, Lauren, roll me 7 d6s. And because you've invoked your passion, 5s and 6s both count as brills. Oh, goodness.
I have 3 brills.
Okay.
And then I have 2, 2, 2, and 4.
And no
So,
glooms.
nothing.
So, if memory serves, 3 brills, not only did you succeed at this, that is a triumph. So that is a major success. So then this person, who you were trying to get information might take a sit down outside of the kennels. Oh, thank you. It's been a hard day.
Rubs his
The
shoulders.
family, you know how the Belafines are always
I
going
do,
on.
I do.
And so then you succeeded, and you would get maybe even more information out of this valet than you initially intended. And that is how tests work
And drunk on power.
in Our Brilliant Ruin. It's that easy. Determining how you're going about something and why you're going about something,
Ooh, I
that
like
forms your
that.
dice pool. So that is Our Brilliant Ruin. And has anyone else, because we had one epigram, either of the two of you thought of yours? If not, that's okay.
No, I was busy trying to get the power back on.
Yeah, that's kind of a bigger priority at that moment. That's all right.
I think I have mine.
Ooh, let's hear it.
We are not above the laws of nature. Act accordingly.
Ooh.
I like
That's
that.
good.
That's a
That's
very
good.
good one. And again, think about how much that will inform your roleplay with that as a driving belief of your character. Oh,
I've got mine.
oh, let's do it.
All right.
But can't someone else do it?
But can't someone else do it? I think that's
Done name.
there are very few questions that I would love as epigrams, but I love that. Can't someone else do it? And that's Our Brilliant Ruin, y'all. It is that easy to create a character in this system and that fun, and there are all these wonderful factions and guilds and houses and locations to explore in this awesome game. So, we will be actually playing these characters in an Our Brilliant Ruin one-shot in February. We have 5 very busy individuals, so we are still trying to arrange the exact day for that, but keep your eyes open. We'll all be back and telling the story of this little fledgling branch of the Astus Willow aristocrats and what happens to them here in the Dramark, with the ruin still shedding its light all over the planet, inevitably ending this world, but not before we get to tell a few stories. So, we will be back in February with this one-shot. Cannot wait to tell this story with these 4 incredible individuals. Before we go, want to give the 3 of you an opportunity to let people know where they can find you, anything else that you can talk about that you're working on, or any conventions you'll be at, or anything like that. Rachel, want to lead us off?
Yeah, hi. So thanks for watching us. My name is Rachel J. Wilkinson. I'm the senior writer designer at the Studio Hermitage and co-creator of Our Brilliant Ruin. And you can find me and also Dune. But you can also find me on Blue Sky and most of the other socials under some form of Rachel J. Wilkinson or Ray J. Wilkinson. But yeah, look forward to connecting there. Danny?
Yeah, thanks for having us. My name's Danny, and you can find me online at Danny Reba. That's RYB as in boy, A. Pretty much anywhere online. I'm not super active, but sometimes I post here and there. The only other thing I did want to plug, though, is if you like what you heard here, if you feel like Our Brilliant Ruin is something that you want to get into and check it out, first off, the PDF is entirely free on DriveThruRPG. You can just search Our Brilliant Ruin. You can also get the book. We have a really nice hardcover copy of the book that you can get on Amazon. But also there is the Clonmore Heights audio drama that we have out. It's a 10-episode audio drama that tells the story of a historian from Crown Hall College that is kind of goes out and is assigned to a Valgrieve house to help them with some
all Valgreaves, Lauren.
yes.
All Valgreaves.
Yes. Plenty of drama, plenty of tension, really amazing voice cast, and that was also written by Rachel. And that is also, you can go to our YouTube channel, listen to it. You can get it on your podcast platform of choice. Entirely free, 10 episodes that tells a really, really fun story.
I'm going to devour that before the session.
Yeah. It's also great for anybody who wants to, not only get immersed in the world, but also kind of just see what a story, what a longer story or a more faction or aristocrat involved story could look like. So we're really happy with how that turned out. And again, the voice cast and everything is top notch. We had a really talented team, so definitely check it out.
Is great.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Of course you wouldn't say that.
All right, but that's my plug here. So Lauren, go ahead.
Hey guys, you know me, you know where to find me. I am here all the time. I'm all over Instagram. You can find me in most places. Where I'm trying to be most often is in my game room under a blanket, drinking some tea, working on my mental health, and maybe, escaping into some games for a while. So hopefully I'll be doing that and you won't be able to find me. Try it. Give you a cookie.
And you'll be able to listen to this one-shot and this Session Zero on our podcast, Go Buff Yourself, where we have 2 ongoing campaigns, a complete mini-campaign of Mothership, a Mothership one-shot, Daggerheart one-shot, tons of actual play content on there ready for you to consume right now. So you can also find me while TikTok still exists as the Buff DM, but all of those videos are also getting reposted over on our YouTube, Thousand Faces Cosplay, so that's where you will be able to find all of that goodness. So let's go ahead and get a raid going so that we can share the love with another TTRPG channel. Thank you all so much for being here while we created these characters, but seriously, keep your eyes open for this one-shot because I am so excited for these characters you all have created, and I can't wait to see the stories they tell in this world. Until we see you next time, friends, which will be on Tuesday for episode 17, 18 of City of the Crimson Tower, take care of yourselves, be good, drink some water, and go buff yourself. Bye, everybody. And we are